Not the best performance, not the most interesting game, but it was job done for Aston Villa.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another instant reaction as Aston Villa beat Maccabi Tel Aviv 2-0 in the Europa League to seal their place back in the top 8 in the Europa League standings. Please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and help us on the road to 10,000 subscribers and get your thoughts on that game, which absolutely was not the best of games. Quite disjointed. Very strange atmosphere with obviously everything surrounding the game off the pitch, no away fans as well. And, it was a game that Aston Villa really just needed to get the job done. And they did that. They won 2-0. They should have maybe exerted themselves a little bit more, maybe gone for the jugular a little bit more. Maybe you can understand why they didn't. But it could come down to certain situations, could come down to goal difference later on in this competition. But a win's a win, and goals from Maatsen and Donyell Malen sealed the victory, and we march on to the next game. The starting lineup came out, and there was some real positives in terms, particularly on the bench for Aston Villa. Tonight, Maatsen started in goal. Then we had Ezri Konsa, Victor Lindelof, Pau Torres, and Maatsen across the back. Amadou Onana and Lamar Bogard in the midfield, and we had Evan Gesson, Jadon Sancho, Morgan Rogers, and Donyell Malen up front. And to be honest, Aston Villa started the game, as they have done so much in European football, quite slow, quite predictable, quite ponderous build-up, and it really needed a lot of movement to maybe spark it into life, but we didn't really see that. We didn't see that from Sancho. We didn't see that from Gesson. We didn't see it really from Morgan Rogers. And Donyell Malen was sadly starved of the ball because we weren't getting it to him, and particularly Evan Gesson just looks a real mess when he gets the ball. He doesn't quite know what he wants to do with it. He doesn't know whether he wants to go forward. He's receiving the ball too deep into more towards the mid half of, the halfway line or midway inside the opposition half, when he really needs to be receiving the ball on the edge of the opposition penalty area on the run so that he can beat the man and then put the ball in the box, or beat the man and have the shot. But very often he's just receiving the ball too deep. He doesn't know what he wants to do with it, and he's barely managing to keep possession, let alone try and do something productive with it. And to be honest, it was Maccabi Tel Aviv that probably looked a little bit more steady and a bit more assured on the ball. And they had a couple of efforts where, if they'd have been a bit more productive and a bit more positive, they might have maybe caused us some more problems. Villa playing a high line. There was one occasion where they beat that high line, and the player had the shot, and it just deflected off the back of Torres's legs and went out. Another effort where the striker just didn't hit the shot well enough, and it went into Martinez's hands. And then Villa did spark into life a little bit more. Morgan Rogers, I think, took the game a little bit more into his own hands, started linking up on the left-hand side with Sancho and Maatsen and trying to drive them forward. And it was Rogers that had an effort that just went over from the edge of the box. Another effort where he played it into Donyell Malen, who couldn't quite get the ball out from his feet, hit the shot, and it deflected off the defender, wrong-footed the goalkeeper, but just went the wrong side of the post. And then I guess what sparked the game into life, really, Maccabi Tel Aviv could and should have taken the lead. Ball goes through down the left-hand side, and it's a late run from the fullback, and he's played in by the midfielder. It looks like the striker's going to go after the ball, but instead the fullback goes after it, and he's not offside, cuts the ball back to that same striker, who all he has to do is put it into the net, and somehow Emi Martinez manages to sprawl across the goal, grab it in his hand and save it, and it really should have been 1-0 to Maccabi Tel Aviv. And then as the half went on, it went into stoppage time. Aston Villa managed to take the lead. Again, some good play down the left-hand side. Sancho linking with Morgan Rogers. Maatsen continues his run, Rodgers clips the ball over the top. And Ian Maatsen, who earlier on really should have taken a shot, but decided to pass the ball across to Donyell Malen, who had a shot that was saved by the keeper. This time, maybe with that in mind, decides to have the shot, shoots on the turn, first time, underside of the bar, and nestles into the corner of the net. And it's 1-0 Aston Villa. And I think he was even a little bit surprised that he scored. But the celebrations were quite muted. There wasn't really a lot of atmosphere around the ground. But Aston Villa, most importantly, went into halftime at 1-0. And the second half started again. Villa slow, ponderous on the ball, and it was Maccabi Tel Aviv that maybe could have again got themselves back into the game. Again, it's Peretta who had the chance in the first half. This time, ball goes down the left-hand side. Victor Lindelof gets beaten for pace in the right-back position. Varela, the winger, cuts it back. A dummy from the Maccabi Tel Aviv attacker into Peretta's feet, who hits the shot, and it's saved. Ball comes out to Morgan Rodgers, who initially had waited for the ball and had started him waiting for the ball and started that attack for Maccabi Tel Aviv, plays the ball through to Donyell Malen, who's 1v1 with the keeper, takes it a little bit wide with the defender, put him in under pressure, hits the shot with his right foot, and it's saved by the goalkeeper. But that kind of sparked Villa into a bit more life and a bit of pressure in and around the box. Ball, I think it's a corner that comes in, it's cleared. Lamar Bogard keeps it alive. It goes out to Ezri Konsa, who brings the ball down really well on the right-hand side of the box. Just cuts inside the defending Maccabi Tel Aviv player, who just clips his back of his foot with his knee. And then that foot then goes into Ezri Konsa's other foot, and he kind of trips himself up. The referee waits a little bit of time, gives a penalty. It goes to VAR, and VAR confirmed the penalty, although it was probably a little bit soft. It did look like Konsa had tripped himself up, but it was the initial touch from the Maccabi Tel Aviv defender that did initiate that contact. And then we're wondering who is going to take the penalty. Morgan Rodgers is holding the ball. Jadon Sancho's around the ball. But it was Donyell Malen who was also around the ball, and he was given the ball to put on the spot. Referee takes a long time to blow the whistle. Donyell Malen takes a couple of deep breaths, steps up, and lovely finish into the bottom corner. Goalkeeper has no chance, and it's 2-0, and the game is really put to bed. Quite a few substitutions made, and one of the great couple of sights are Emi Buendia coming back onto the pitch, and he was obviously injured a couple of weeks ago. We thought it may be more serious, but great to see him back. But most importantly, Youri Tielemans back on the pitch for Aston Villa, and as soon as he came on, beautiful moment, probably the moment of the game. Gets the ball in that midfield area. Little jink, goes past away from the midfielder, sees Watkins make the run, but also, most importantly, sees Donyell Malen makes the run. A little reverse chip pass beautifully into Donyell Malen's path, hits the volley, and the goalkeeper makes a wonderful save to tip it round the post. And that was probably the moment of the game. After that, the game sort of just sort of dried out, really fizzled out into a really just what was a training game, training exercise. Villa not really exerting themselves to anything like what they should. Watkins was on the pitch by this point. McGinn was on the pitch by this point. Lamar Bogard has switched to right back. Pau Torres had gone off. Rodgers had gone off. Onana had gone off. Kamara had come on. So multiple substitutes, and it was more just getting minutes in the legs for some of these players. I'm sure most of them will be used on Sunday against Bournemouth. And the game really just fizzled out, and it ended up being a bit of a training game. One little bit of a hairy moment where Martinez just lost his head a bit, passed the ball, what looked like it was potentially going to go to Lindelof, who we thought was in the left centre-back position, or Maatsen out in the left-back position, but it didn't find either of them. Picked up by the Maccabi attacker, cross, but he manages to make up for it and just falls on the ball. But apart from that, I don't recall any real other chances in the game, and it just ended up as a 2-0 win for Aston Villa. Most of the fans had gone sort of by the last 5 minutes of the game. There was 6 minutes of injury time, and I think the referee could have blown up on 90 minutes, to be honest. But like I said, a win's a win. I think it takes us into 5th position in the Europa League standings, gets us back on track in that Europa League, ready for the next game. which I believe is young boys at home. So that would be a good opportunity to cement our position in that top 8 and get another win, which I think will be a bit more of a test for Aston Villa. So that'll be a good game to look forward to. Ahead of Sunday, though, there's probably 1 or 2 question marks. Evan Gesson, what are we doing with him? Because he clearly is struggling. I can't see what he brings to the team, and I can't see why he's constantly playing for Aston Villa at the moment. And Harvey Elliott, what is happening with him? Again, not used tonight. He must be going back to Liverpool in January, because if he can't get on the pitch right now with Evan Gesson playing as he is, I know there's other players that are coming back, Kamara, Tielemans, Buendia, McGinn come on, but surely you've got to find a spot for him to at least get a few minutes. There has to be something in that he's going back to Liverpool in January, and they don't want to waste appearances to commit to having to spend the money for him. It's got to be as simple as that. Bit of a shame that we didn't see Ben Broggio. It would have been really nice if Villa had been 3 or 4-0 up, and we could have seen, a young player getting some valuable minutes, getting some time on the pitch, appearing for the first team, but that wasn't to be. And as I say, a 2-0 victory gets us back on track after the game on Saturday, ahead of the game on Sunday, and with everything surrounding the game off the pitch, I think it was just important to just put the game to bed, get a nice win. Good for Maatsen to get a goal. Great for Donyell Malen to get a goal as well. And maybe we found our new penalty taker. That's it from me. Please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get your thoughts and your comments in from the game. We had a great watch along on the stream earlier. Some brilliant comments as well. We're going to be back on Sunday for the watch along against Bournemouth, so do catch that. Also be back with the boys doing a preview for that Bournemouth game as well. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.